So Dillon Danis, Logan Paul, this whole story has blown up. To be honest with you, I don't have that much interest in it. I did watch this interview with Ariel the other day after someone commented and said, listen man, jump in there and let me know your thoughts. And I have a lot of thoughts, and I did prepare a video that I was going to shoot today. But I've seen Jesse on Fire and MMA Guru and Chael have all done what I was intending on doing, which was going through the video, breaking it down, stopping at certain points to show how hypocritical and disgusting Ariel Helwani is. But what's the point in doing that now? So I think I'll just give an overview of what I think transpired here, maybe from a different perspective as well, probably an unpopular one, because to be honest with you, this whole thing was a shit show. I have this headline pulled up, right? Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was bullied into taking the fight against Shavkat Rakhmonov at UFC 294. Now the reason I have that pulled up was the first thing that occurred to me whilst watching the Ariel and Dillon Danis interview was the fact that, without being too rude here, Dillon doesn't seem to be with it too much in terms of cognitive skill. He says some outlandish, ridiculous things. I think that Ariel Helwani is a smart guy. We've seen so many people. Jesse says it, Chael says it, all the guys say it about him, and it's true. He is a really smart guy. He knows that he can manipulate a malleable mind, and that's what he has with a built-in audience there. But most people can see through it. You know, like, I call it out, I can see it, and a lot of the people that watch that sort of content calls it out. It's very easy. Now, that raises a number of different questions in terms of how does every other fighter in the UFC, whether they're normies, whether they're based, whether they're awake or asleep, wherever they are in terms of their mental journey, surely you would not go on to Ariel Helwani's show if you knew the underhanded tactics that he does, especially when he's covering for someone like Logan Paul, or when he's angry at Dana and he tries to gaslight Jamal Hill and all these other guys into agreeing with his perspective. With the Drickus Duplessis stuff, he tried to get Chael to come in on that. Chael wasn't having it. He didn't like it. As soon as he gets free of the Chael interview, he starts making his own videos and he goes after Drickus. And what I find a little bit disappointing, if I'm honest, is that Drickus went back on there. Of course, he's a bigger man than I would be. I couldn't do this. I said it yesterday in a post that I put up on the community page. Whether you're a fighter or not, this guy needs a slap into the mouth. That's been honest with you. This interview here warranted at least 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slaps into the mouth. The counter, sticking the Pinocchio nose and looking at the camera, telling the boys behind the camera to notch up the old lie count. That was annoying. And as I said about Dillon Danis, I don't want to be too harsh on the dude because I actually like him. Of course, everybody likes him more than Logan Paul. These boys, Logan Paul, KSI, Jake Paul, they're vile. They're a detriment to society, 100%. I saw that Jesse pulled up a stat there that KSI and Logan Paul sold their prime to Coca-Cola for $10 billion. So these absolute disgusting human beings are online. Logan is on record for doing a multitude of disgusting acts, and these guys are billionaires. And all the kids that are coming up watching this stuff want to be like them. It's a very scary time in terms of how we set up influencers and how we give them so much power. I mean, if you went to a primary school anywhere and you asked these kids what do they want to be when they grow up, a lot of them want to be like Jake Paul and Logan Paul. That's nowhere near a good idea. And then when the rubber meets the road in terms of Logan Paul versus Dillon Danis, you have the chance as a journalist, as he said, I went to the best journalistic school in America. When have we ever seen journalism from Ariel Helwani? I get a bunch of different comments going, bro, can't watch you, you're too biased. Yes, I'm too biased. I'm a construction worker in my kid's gaming room. I've got no influence over anybody's opinion, and I definitely don't have an influence and a huge number of people watching me like this official MMA journalist. So of course I can have my biases. I'm an absolute nobody. Is it fair for the journalists that we are supposed to be getting our unbiased information off of to be shilling so hard for one side of an argument? And one of the things that you have to agree with is that Ariel Helwani is extremely smart. He is. Listen, he's done well in the business. He's done well with his YouTube channel. He failed at a couple of other things and came running back to the YouTube channel. That's fine. But in this occasion, in this interview, I saw all the people saying these two guys should have a podcast together. The banter between them was so good. And I'm just thinking to myself, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He should have been sparked out in the first 30 seconds. First of all, you brought Logan on. He was allowed to disparage Dillon at will. You never pushed back on it because you apparently are going for the clout. You want big numbers. You don't appreciate someone like Dillon, who ironically brings bigger numbers than all these other guys. And the reason why I brought up the Stephen Wonderboy article there was, this feels like Ariel knows where he is in the totem pole and he is bullying someone who clearly isn't able to cope with it, clearly isn't able to form a cohesive retort, and says kind of random things like, oh, I like your smell, and oh, you're giving off a feminine vibe. And it was like, dude, stop that shit. You call him out. Fair play to Dillon. He jumps on here and he does hold his feet to the fire, but not enough. I've got way more respect for Dillon Danis. The dude is a BJJ champion. Logan Paul is some juice head that I wouldn't give the time of day to. So you would think someone that is a world champion grappler would have a little bit more stoicism instead of sitting there and placating this fool who's talking down to you, who has a counter, a picture of your nose growing on the screen. So basically everything that you say is a lie and I'm going to call you out on it and I'm going to get away with it. And that's what happened in this interview. I think it was 75 minutes long. And the entire interview, people said, oh yeah, Dillon did well there and the two of them had great fun. It's like, no, he didn't do well, man. Threatening to come over and giving him a wedgie isn't doing well. Threatening a hug, asking him to go out for dinner afterwards. Let's go get a steak. Dillon Danis actually gave us an insight into how he was feeling here in terms of his mental state, right? Everyone's so worried about people's mental state. If you mention it in a post-fight interview, you're getting plaudits across the board. Dillon mentions it here and Ariel pretty much laughs at him. Didn't take long for him to jump off that topic and go after him again and get the counter popping up and down. Disgusting. I mean, anybody who has watched Dillon Danis' career or his social media career and the trajectory of that over the last couple of years since he trained with Conor McGregor for that Nate Diaz fight, they should know that he's not equipped to go in there and deal with someone as slimy as Ariel Helwani. He's just not. And I think it was probably like a 50-50 split. You know, he did have good points. He did give the actual story to Ariel about what was going on with the lawsuit and that it was Logan Paul that was driving it and not his bird. Of course, she doesn't have a bob in her pocket, so Logan's going to fund that. Ariel wouldn't accept that. So he did have that 50-50 split, in my opinion, in terms of, yes, you were truthful, yes, you got your message out there, but the other 50% of it, you were saying random weird shit like I'm boxing and, you know, I could beat Francis Ngannou, I could choke that guy out in 30 seconds. And you're just thinking, dude, if you just stop that stuff, imagine the fan base you would have. If you just stopped these random special needs tweets, you would have such a huge fandom behind you. I think you've done a really good job with the Logan Paul shit, but I think the fact that people hate what Logan Paul, Jake Paul, KSI stand for, they hate that energy. People really don't like watching these three special needs guys running around cackling, making millions and billions whilst we fund it for them and keep on watching, and our kids want to be like that. It's disgusting. Someone like Dillon Danis is a world champion jiu-jitsu practitioner. Right there, you've already elevated yourself miles above the Logan Paul and Jake Paul shite. You've trained with Conor McGregor. You've actually done better against Khabib than Conor did outside of the ring. Fair play to you. You got into him nice and good. I like that. If you just pulled back on the crazy statements, you would have a massive fan base. And if you did what you did here, where you opened up and you talked about your son, Ariel didn't care, bro. He didn't care. He was sneering at you when you didn't pick a name for your kid. You didn't want to jump in and just name him willy-nilly. Ariel didn't even try to understand what you were saying. He was calling you out on your decision with your kid. Then he called you out on the mother of that child. People that push back against this interview were mainly pushing back against Ariel for shilling for Logan Paul. I'm looking at it from a point of view as two humans. Ariel Helwani doesn't respect Dillon Danis as a human being, and for me that's far more important than him shilling for Logan Paul, which is just disgusting but predictable. Dillon spoke about the accusations aimed at his mother. Logan Paul called her a prostitute. Ariel didn't denounce it, didn't say it was rude, didn't say it was all part of the fight game. He didn't say anything like that. He said, oh yeah, she could sue him. Okay, so you don't really care when it's aimed towards Dillon and his family, it's only the other way. Okay, we understand where we're going there. So Dillon spoke about wanting to end his life, something that I've never heard him say before. A decent interviewer could have scratched the surface there and really got down into the crux of what's going on Dillon's mental state. You didn't, you kind of breezed over it and made light of it. He spoke about his brand new baby. You laughed at the idea that he didn't have it named. Just despicable human behavior. I mean, where does that leave this whole situation? A lot of people are interested in it because Dillon has scorched him so bad in terms of what he's been putting out on Twitter on a daily basis. Logan Paul's an absolute rat who is literally propping his bird up, paying for her lawsuit as a tactic, and you have all the yes men then following him around, telling him it's great. And Ariel is one of these guys. And where does that leave Dillon? Dillon seems to be a confused guy who is going through the motions of life. Newborn babies, depression, addiction, big injuries. I think that this guy would have a huge following if he just retracted a small bit with the craziness. So what's my prediction for the fight? I honestly don't think that the fight is going to happen. I don't think that Dillon Danis is going to show up. I think in this interview he spoke about that this fight is happening in 12 days time, and I hate the idea of going to the UK doing it. And the last time I went to the UK I was asleep and I didn't want to get up and do press and I was groggy. It does not look to me that he's going to make it to this fight. And if he does, I think that Logan Paul puts him out in the first 30 seconds. The dude is 300 pounds of pure juice, and I don't know where that leaves us then in terms of a societal position, because do we all clap Logan Paul then for putting the troll down after he was chauvinistic and misogynistic towards his wife? Man, what a narrative has been painted, and you know what Ariel's going to be like if that happens. I'm putting my energy behind Dillon Danis. I think that he's doing a fantastic job online. If there was any advice that I could give, or if it was worth anything, it would be to stop saying that you could tap out Francis Ngannou in 6 seconds. Stop saying that you can roll into the UFC and beat someone like Kevin Holland. Stop saying that stuff. Your star is already growing. You've destroyed Logan Paul. You've built back so much credibility after some of the crazy statements that you've had in the last couple of years. Dude, stay in the middle of the road, stay level-headed, keep the head clear, and you can beat these guys. That's it. That's what I have. Let me know your thoughts down below. Cheers.